Glenn from Glasgow. Hey guys, first of all, thank you for the fantastic podcast. I've been using Google Ads for many years now, but I still learn something new from each of your episodes. I ha- That's a nice compliment because sometimes I'm like,
Yes.
Chris, I don't know about this one. I have a
Yeah.
query that I would like your opinion on. Oh, they used to be called search queries. Now they're called search terms. Little trivia.
Yeah.
If I
Query.
have a
Yeah. Queries.
if I have a countrywide campaign but want to have targeted ads for one particular city, how should this be set up? And he goes through 5 options. Make keywords broad match modified in the hope that the city will be picked up when the user search. I don't think Chris is going to like that one. Create a new ad group for the city and insert the city in the keywords and ad copy. Create a new ad group for the city and leave the keywords as broad match modified, but put the city in the ad copy. Create a new campaign with the location set for the city and leave the keywords and ad copy as normal. Create a new campaign with a location set for the city and edit the keywords and ad copy to include the city. Thank you for your question, Glenn. I'm very excited to see how Chris answered this, and I recommend to all the ladies out there with Glenn, never cheat on Glenn because he is going through all the angles with your little stories about where you were last night. He's got every scenario covered, and you're not getting anything by Glenn. So, Chris, you want to target cities? What are we doing here?
Glenn is a very thorough guy. Yeah. I mean, a numbered list, just beautiful. Thank you, Glenn. So, all right. Great question. And I'll tell you one thing. It really depends on how critical it is that you get a super strong search impression share. If you are, if this is something that is just absolute priority for you or your client to make sure you show up, I might actually do 2 of these things. Number 1, I don't recommend, where you said make your keywords broad match in the hope that the city will just be picked up. So mixing them in there and hoping that they work. I don't think that would necessarily work. My second tier up, if you move into something where I want to be a little more aggressive, what I would try is your scenario where you described have a new ad group in that campaign and have broad match modifier keywords. So it's city and then the service as broad match modified, and then put the city name into those ads. I think that's the next level up. Highest tier level, most aggressive, probably because it's going to take the most amount of work, is then to create a new campaign and set that campaign up in the way that you have those keywords targeted with the city name, broad match modified, and you're targeting a city, and you have normal keywords that don't target the city and just have the service, and they all have the city name in them. So that's like the highest tier. That's the most aggressive. You're going to target anyone within a 100-mile radius that uses the city name, and you're going to target anyone within a 25-mile radius that uses the service name. So that's that's the hardest, most aggressive way to do things. The most effort is going to take the most management because now you have a whole new campaign, and then imagine what you're going to get yourself into if there's 50 of these to do. If they say, well, that works great, let's do the top 50 cities in the U.S. I mean, you're hearing groans because we've been there. I mean, it's exhausting. It's, and so I would say my favorite would probably be with the lower tier where you just put those keywords in an ad group, and if maybe put a little bit higher bid on those. And if you get a campaign that picks them up, you're getting some clicks on them, then that's great. But if the client's super gung-ho about, I got to show up on these, I want 100% search impression in this city and this zip code, this county, then, you may have to go with the hardcore stuff. But it's not, I would not say it's your default. Unless you're getting pushed that direction, I would not suggest it. Jason?
Chris, I have a quick great suggestion in terms of setup, but I want your feedback on management because it gets a little scary with management. If you have, say, 10, if you have 3 cities, it's not a big deal anyway because it's only 3 cities. But say you have 10 or 20 cities or more, and you want the ads. To me, what's important is the ad copy matching that city. So if if it's Charlotte, North Carolina, and people are searching there for a mover, I don't care if they search the word mover, long distance mover, movers in Charlotte. As long as the ad says movers in Charlotte and uses the city name, that's what's important in terms of this whole city thing. So what you can do, you can create a campaign, great keywords. You can either include city names. Yeah, include city names. So what you do, you target one city. The ads say Charlotte. The keywords say Charlotte. All you have to do, go to editor, copy and paste it 50 times, however many you need. And then just on each city, go to the ads, go to the keywords, and find and replace Charlotte to the next city. And then on the third campaign, find and replace Charlotte on the keywords and ads to the next city. That's easy, pretty easy on setup. Chris, what happens on management? And then things get a little sticky.
Well, I mean, keep in mind you said replace, but you also have to replace the URL. You have to replace any phone numbers that are different. You have to change all the geographic targeting for those.
True. So, I mean, oh my gosh, you're right. True. Oh man, you're true. So I would never do this. Yeah, you're right. This sucks.
Yeah.
This just sucks. I guess it depends on how many cities it is.
Yeah. The thing is, the more you do that, the more you're up for user error and accidentally targeting the wrong city or going to the wrong URL. And then just like you said, then you start getting into management. Like, oh, this keyword showing.
Slap the person that came up with this idea, because Chris, let's get back to basics here. If someone in city 2 does a search and the ad says we serve people in these metros, blah, 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 and the city's in there, or local movers, and just focus on the right searches, get ad copy that makes sense, and it's going to work well. And all the time you're taking going into all this, building it up, how to manage it, all this kind of stuff, that's where people like me and Chris sneak in, start gathering data, run our campaign, and get great results. So probably making it a little too complex than it needs to be.
While you're building your super complex campaign, we're already
making money.
Getting leads. So I mean, that's the deal. So I mean, the thing is, I would consider the most aggressive plan to be a button that's under glass and requires 2 keys to unlock. I mean, like, don't do this unless you're forced and you just have to do it, because the setup, the management are all overcomplicated and it's not worth the effort.